Today we'll be building these awesome Necron crystals for Warhammer 40k. How are you today? Art Jeremiah here, and I'm back with another terrain building video. If you're new here, subscribe for regular inspiration and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified about when I post the next video. Anyway, yeah, let's get right into that video. I start this build out by cutting strips of 1/2 inch and inch thick XPS foam. I then slice each squared edge with drawing cuts. That gives me an octagonal pillar. I sharpen one edge of the pillar with crude cuts. At this point, it is already looking like a crystal. When I started building this, I wasn't using a sharp blade, so I took out a piece of 400 grit sandpaper and smoothed the surface in all the spots as well. After that, I did change the blade, and you will see how much easier it is to slice the corners off of the foam. I make a good sized pile of these foam crystal shards, as I'm making a set of 5 crystal formations. I make even more of the 1/2 inch thick shards. Also note, I cut those ones shorter than the thicker shards. I then set up my crystal shards without gluing them down or anything. At this stage, I'm just planning what shards I want with which formation. I want a good deal of variety. When doing this, I also keep compositional theory in my mind. I want the crystals to have a variety, but also harmonize as a whole. Therefore, each formation has 5 to 7 shards of various height, and each includes both thick and thin shards. Next, I work on the bases. For this, I'm going to be using black foam core. I set the crystals up on the foam core and draw an organic oval around the formations. I then start cutting out the shapes. When doing this, I roughly cut out all 5 bases. Notice that I'm not worried about rounding the bases off, and I'm doing an extremely crude job. I don't really like getting bogged down with this sort of thing, so I devise as many ways as possible to move fast but also produce quality work. Therefore, I work on all the bases at one time, but only do one step at a time. I don't know if that makes much sense, so hopefully my demonstration will give you a grasp of my process. I then bevel all the edges. And because this is good timing for this comment, I'm going to do the highlighted comment and give a shout out to Peter Feldkamp, who said, "I like your builds, but I get anxiety when you don't use a cutting mat to make your cuts, haha." So yeah, this must be one of those times I give you anxiety. My bad, I get carried away with the cutting. Don't worry though, I don't cut myself that often. Anyway, now I pull out the scissors and round off the outer edges of the bases. This is the way I've been doing bases a lot recently, and I really love how the outside edge looks when I use a pair of scissors. Okay, now, recently I've been doing a lot of my builds with all surface liquid nails instead of using PVA or hot glue. PVA glue just takes so long to dry when smashed between 2 layers of foam, and as much as I like hot glue, I don't like the time I lose switching back and forth from gluing and placing objects. The thing I'm loving about liquid nails is that I can put large globs on bases like this and just focus on positioning everything the way I want. It's great for repositioning things until I'm satisfied with how things look, and is a huge time saver for my entire process. If you are interested in supporting this channel, then you can buy your liquid nails from my Amazon link in the description below and offer your support at no extra cost to you. While the liquid nails is still goopy, I add some small pebbles to the bases with my tweezers. I then add play sand to my bases with a brush and PVA glue. I don't worry about the liquid nails drying, as it will still dry nicely under the layer of water-based adhesive and sand. I got some excellent help painting these black, and I'm very thankful for that. Regardless, I did not get footage of this, so I'll just tell you that the black base used to coat this is a mixture of wood glue and latex house paint. Honestly, if you're doing large amounts of terrain, I would totally recommend this mixture, as it beats out the majority of undercoats. It really leaves a nice thick layer that's waterproof and is a good bang for your buck. The first layer of color that I add to the crystals is Anita's Hunter Green Craft Paint. This is a somewhat vibrant dark green that I slather onto all the crystals in a nice even coat. Next, I paint the upper half to 2/3 of each crystal shard with black paint. At this stage, it looks rather goofy and seems counterproductive, but it will be worth it. And we're actually going to smooth out the look in the next few steps. So now I mix Liquitex glazing medium, a few drops of water, and a dab of black paint in a small shot cup. This is our glaze that will blend the green and black together. I apply this layer over a little bit of the green parts and into the black crystals. Pay attention that I always work from the green to the black. This will just give us a little bit more of a smooth blend. There are alternative ways of doing this step, for instance wet blending, but I find that wet blending acrylics is kind of annoying. Also, spray paint is another way to do this, and I actually do have a video on that process that I did a little over a year ago, which I will put a link on the screen now and in the description. If you could do me a favor and finish watching this video first, that would be great. And yes, spray paint most often melts styrofoam, but I've found a couple different types that won't melt foam no matter how close you spray or how much you spray. I will also have those in the description as well. When I finally finish glazing all the crystals, I do an overbrushed edge highlight on each crystal with the same hunter green. Some of the lower parts of the crystals, I actually dry brush to bring out the green a little bit more. I then dilute some apple barrel spring green with some water and use it to add another edge highlight. This time though, I use a small detail brush and pick out all the edges on the top 2/3 of each crystal cluster. This does take time, but it looks excellent when finished. Next, I switch to a lighter green, specifically Ceramcoat Gecko. I just pick out bare minimum highlights with this color. I especially use it in the pointy bits to make the crystals look more sharp. That will really give the terrain a clean look. I finish off the bases with some apple barrels, pewter gray, and a dry brush of antique white. And then I decided that I wanted a little bit of a dark glow to the base. So I use a glazing medium in some artist quality Viridian heavy body acrylic paint by Blick Art Materials. I mix the two together with a drop of water and then paint around the bottom of each crystal, and then even add it to the bottom half of each crystal shard just for a little bit more harmony. I finish off the build by spraying it with a coat of matte varnish, then painting Liquitex high gloss varnish over all the crystals. Now stay tuned until the end of the video to see glamour shots of the crystals and see what to watch next. And if you haven't done so already, please help me out by liking this video and dropping a comment below. If you're getting some value out of this channel, consider joining me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you will gain access to extra footage of videos like this one and other videos that I've done in the past, as well as have more say in what's to come. And now, continue the journey by clicking on one of the videos on the screen right now.